Welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to tackle something pretty universal, I think. It's that inner voice, the negative self-talk.
Mm-hmm.
We're exploring what happens when you actually, try to stop it for a week. We got this interesting post about someone who did just that.
And the results weren't quite what you might expect, right? This exhaustion.
Exactly. Exhaustion. We'll unpack that and connect it to, bigger things like growing an agency, some common marketing myths, and really how to manage our own minds in business.
So pulling out practical insights, things you can actually use.
That's the goal. Actionable stuff on mindset, growth, navigating business.
And starting with that weird exhaustion after the silence.
Yeah, it's fascinating. The post highlighted this initial feeling, not of peace, but just tiredness, once the constant self-criticism stopped.
It really shows how ingrained those patterns are. It's like our brain is so used to that noise, that friction, that silence feels strange, almost unsettling at first.
Like the brain wants the familiar, even if
Right.
it's not helpful.
Sort of, yeah. Even negative patterns can feel comfortable in a weird way.
Okay, well, to help us navigate the business side of things, we've got Tim Kilroy joining us. He's known as the agency growth mechanic.
The mechanic, I like that.
Yeah, and he created the WTF agency method. He's got decades of experience in digital marketing, agency growth.
And didn't he used to manage a Sharper image store? That's an interesting background.
Right. Gives him a unique view on what grabs attention, what makes people buy. He's all about practical fixes,
Yeah.
The mechanic thing, diagnosing problems, not just cheering you on.
Yeah, suggests finding the real issue, implementing fixes. That Sharper image experience probably gave him real insight into perceived value, presentation, super relevant for agencies.
Definitely. And then for the mindset part, the negative self-talk deep dive, we have AJ Zeglen.
Ah, okay. Mental performance expert.
Yep. Works with athletes, professionals, helping them sharpen their mental game. He'll give us the lowdown on why we get stuck in that negative loop and, crucially, what we can do about it.
Right. AJ's work with people in high-pressure situations, like athletes, that's got to be relevant. That intensity probably ramps up the self-criticism.
For sure. So his strategy should be really applicable for anyone trying to, perform better.
Okay, great lineup.
All right, let's jump into agency growth first. Bust some myths with Tim Kilroy. So the WTF agency method.
Right.
He uses WTF, apparently not just like that, but to capture that feeling, that chaos and overwhelmed business owners feel.
Yeah, that what the heck is happening.
Exactly. And his method guides them from that to clarity, to, okay, we can actually do this.
It's a journey everyone running a business wants, right? From
Yeah.
chaos to clarity. And using WTF, it's direct, relatable. It admits things are messy sometimes.
Totally.
Mm.
Builds trust, I imagine.
Mm.
And he is direct. He mentioned earlier he found our opening topic on quitting negative self-talk interesting, but he was drawing a firm line. No more talk about certain bodily functions we might have touched on briefly before recording.
Huh. Okay, setting boundaries. Even with humor. That reinforces his focus, doesn't it? Keeps it professional.
Yeah. So he's got these frameworks, FYFS, Gen Plus, GTMOS. But the key thing, he says, isn't giving you a step-by-step plan.
Okay.
It's more about helping people find their own answers. He stressed there's no single right way. The only right answer is what works for you, your situation.
That makes sense. It's about principles, not just prescriptions.
Yeah.
Giving frameworks teaches people how to think through problems for themselves. That's more empowering long term.
Definitely. And one big issue he sees, agencies constantly misdiagnosing their problems.
so?
Everyone thinks it's lead generation. We need more leads. But Tim argues the real problem, often, is an unclear value proposition.
Ah, okay. So what unique value are they actually offering?
Precisely. People chase the leads.
I measure it.
That's right. But
Yeah.
they skip the harder part,
Mm.
defining their core value. He used this great analogy.
Yeah.
It's like using tissues for a runny nose instead of curing the virus causing it. Leads are the tissues.
That's a perfect analogy. Focusing only on leads when your value prop is weak. It's like pouring water into a leaky bucket. You might get a temporary bump, but the core issue isn't fixed.
Exactly. Patch the holes first.
Right. The value propositions.
So, looking at the agency world now, Tim doesn't really sugarcoat it. He says it's tough out there.
Yeah. Why is that?
Things like tariffs, shifts, and what clients actually want. He gave this pretty stark example. A really smart agency owner he knows. Down 40% year over year.
Wow, 40%. That's huge.
Yeah. His point is, agencies need to ditch the generic stuff. They have to really get inside their clients' businesses, offer genuine human insights, connect them with their customers meaningfully.
That downturn really highlights how things are changing fast.
Mhm.
Clients are getting pickier, demanding real value, deeper understanding, and that genuine human insights bit shows data alone isn't enough. Empathy, understanding, still crucial.
Totally. Now let's talk about something controversial. Social proof.
Ah, yes. The likes, the followers, the testimonials.
Tim basically says it's often just insecurity. And sophisticated buyers, they don't really care that much.
Interesting take. So, things like buying book sales, fake followers.
Yeah, or buying podcast downloads. He even joked, asking if we bought any downloads.
Huh. Hope not. But his point about insecurity is interesting. Like, relying too much on those metrics might cover up a lack of real confidence or proof of skill.
Could be. And they're so easy to fake, aren't they? Makes them unreliable.
True.
He argued that the really sophisticated buyers, the ones with big budgets, they care way more about whether you truly understand their business. They want a real partnership.
Not just shiny metrics.
Right. And get this statistic he shared. Something like 70% of Fortune 500 advertisers don't think their agencies actually understand their business.
70%. That's shocking, honestly.
Isn't it? So if those big clients feel misunderstood, all the social proof in the world won't fix that fundamental gap.
Yeah, it really hammers home that deep understanding and being client-focused beats superficial stuff every time.
Before we switch to mindset, just a quick kind of wild anecdote about Tim. His 20th birthday.
Okay.
He spent it in an F-14 Tomcat, getting violently sick from the G-forces.
Seriously, an F-14?
Yep. Apparently the pilot's goal was to make him throw up. And mission accomplished. Right into the breathing mask.
Oh my God. That's memorable. Certainly paints a picture. Maybe just he's not afraid of intensity.
Maybe so. Definitely more interesting than just listing jobs. Okay, so quick rapid fire round with Tim to finish up.
Gotcha.
Biggest agency owner misconception. His answer? That they matter.
Oof. Direct. Focus on the client, not the ego, maybe.
Sounds like it. Weird a sharper image gadget back then. Things that go buzz, which apparently meant something different then.
Right. But
Buzzword he wants to banish. Return on ad spend.
interesting. Why that one?
Didn't elaborate much, but probably thinks it's oversimplified or misused. Comfort show. Law and Order.
Yeah.
SVU or Family Guy. Bit of a range there.
SVU and Family Guy, okay.
And the biggest stress he'd remove for founders. Payroll. Specifically, having the cash for payroll.
Ah, yeah. That's real. That constant pressure speaks to a core anxiety for sure.
Definitely. Okay, let's shift gears. Mindset. Negative self-talk with AJ Zeglen.
Right. Back to that initial idea of quitting the inner critic.
Yeah, we started with that person's week-long experiment. AJ's can help us understand what's going on under the hood psychologically.
Good.
Yeah.
Because moving from the external business challenges to that internal landscape, it's crucial, isn't it? Our mindset affects how we handle everything else.
Absolutely. So AJ pointed out something fundamental. We're usually way harder on ourselves than on other people.
So true. Why is that?
Well, he said it gets amplified in competitive arenas like business or sports. Pressure cooker environments. He stressed two key ideas. One, we are not our thoughts, creating distance.
Okay, detaching a bit.
And two, focus on your scope of control. What can you actually influence? Don't waste energy elsewhere.
That distinction, we are not our thoughts, that's powerful. Lets you observe the negativity without instantly buying into it. And scope of control. Yeah, that's practical anxiety management. Focus energy where it counts.
He also talked about the reticular activating system, RAS.
Ah, yeah, the brain's filter.
Right, how having a more positive outlook can actually train that filter to notice more positive things, more opportunities. But the main takeaway was, managing negative self-talk isn't a one-time fix. It's a practice, a skill you build.
The RES idea really shows how powerful our focus is. Choose positivity, and you literally prime your brain to see more of it. And yeah, the practice part is key. Like any skill, managing thoughts needs consistent effort.
And it was interesting, even Tim Kilroy opened up a bit about his own struggles with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, traced some of it back to childhood, school challenges with ADHD. He admitted it's tough when external stuff, setbacks, trigger those old negative feelings about yourself.
Tim sharing that, it makes it very real, doesn't it? Shows that even successful people deal with this. It's a human thing.
Totally. I mentioned my own little process. Awareness first, like,
Right.
okay, there's the thought, then naming it, then using evidence and logic to challenge it.
Right.
And AJ built on that. He said, when you look for evidence, don't just look at the results. Look at the process, the systems you have in place.
Ah, okay. So focus on the inputs, not just the outputs.
Exactly. He used this analogy. Think of a sports team that hasn't won a championship in 10 years.
Nope.
Focusing only on that result
Yeah.
is demoralizing.
Right.
But focusing on their daily training, their habits, the process of being championship contenders that provides evidence that they're doing the right things, even if the big win hasn't happened yet.
That shift from lagging indicators like results to leading indicators like process, that's huge for resilience. It gives you evidence of commitment and capability, even without external validation, which fights that negative self-talk.
Which led him to ask a great question.
Mm.
Okay, but what if the evidence really does look like failure? Like his client who's down 40%.
Yeah, that's the tough one. What did AJ say?
He brought in the growth mindset, adapting, learning from setbacks. And he told that classic story, the Chinese farmer.
Oh, the one about good luck, bad luck, who knows?
That's the one. How you often can't judge the true impact of an event, good or bad, in the moment. Things unfilled.
Yeah, the growth mindset sees challenges as learning ops, not final verdicts. And the farmer story, great reminder about perspective, the long game. Don't judge too quickly.
AJ gave some really practical steps for when you do feel like you're failing. First, validate it. Acknowledge it sucks.
Okay, allow the feeling, don't just suppress it.
Right. Second, self-regulation. Use techniques to calm down that emotional hijack. Get your thinking brain back online.
Breathing, mindfulness, that sort of thing, yeah.
Third, talk about it. Open communication, problem solve with others. And finally, refocus on control. What can you influence right now?
Yeah.
And keep valuing the process, not just the outcome.
Those are solid, actionable steps. Validate, regulate, communicate, control. And always linking value back to the process builds that sense of progress, even when the end result is uncertain.
Then Tim asked him straight up, how do you regulate the amygdala? You know, the fight or flight center.
Good question. What was the answer?
AJ's advice was simple but powerful. Action absorbs anxiety.
Action absorbs anxiety. I like that.
He explained physical movement is brilliant for it. Burns off stress hormones, releases good chemicals like dopamine, endorphins.
Right. Exercise is a known stress buster.
But he stressed other actions work too. Talking to someone, journaling, mindfulness, anything that shifts your focus and engages the prefrontal cortex, the thinking part.
So it's not just running, it's any constructive action that gets you out of that primitive fear loop and into problem-solving mode.
Exactly. It shifts the brain's focus. I even chimed in about feeling that, actual chemical shift after exercise. It's real. Our bodies are basically designed to regulate stress through doing stuff, through action.
That makes sense. Personal stories like yours make it really click, move it from theory to, lived experience.
Well, hopefully, look, we need to wrap up, but a huge thank you to both Tim Kilroy and AJ Zeglen. Their insights were just fantastic today.
Absolutely. Really valuable stuff from both.
If you want to check out Tim Kilroy and his WTF agency method, his site is timkilroy.com. Easy enough.
timkilroy.com. Got it.
And for AJ Zeglen, if you're interested in his mental performance work, you can find him online. Search AJ Zeglen, Zeglin. Or, reach out to me. I can connect you.
Great. So Tim's practical agency advice, debunking social proof, really key for business owners. And AJ's tools for managing that inner critic, building resilience. That's useful for literally everyone.
Totally. So quick recap of the big ideas. Awareness is key for negative self-talk. Focus on your process, what you control, not just results. Action, any kind of action, helps manage anxiety. And in business, genuine understanding and value trump superficial stuff like social proof.
It all connects, doesn't it? The inner game and the outer results. Better mindset, better process, prioritizing real value leads to better outcomes personally and professionally.
Well said. Okay, final thought for you, the listener, to mull over. Think about one specific negative thought pattern that pops up for you. Or maybe one social proof metric you lean on too much.
Right.
What's one small concrete action you could take, like today? Either to challenge that thought or to shift your focus towards building real value, real connection, instead of just chasing validation.
One small action today. Good challenge.